Hey guys, my name is Steve and this is Wilmer Woodworks, where I like to show you how to use your laser, how to make designs, and everything in between. Recently though, this project has made me have to do something that's very difficult for a lot of people, and it is admit to myself that I was on the wrong path. I had in my mind that I wanted to make this candy dispenser, and I had figured out that I needed to use some trapezoids to create a funnel system that basically I overcomplicated this mess. And it ended up taking it was too large and it took way too many sheets of material. So I scrapped it and I went in a new direction. And I'm glad I did, because this design is much simpler and only takes about 1.5 to 2 sheets of material, 12 by 12, 1/8 inch stock. And it has a decent little lid that stores your candy. And then once your candy is stored there, you just simply twist this knob and they come down into that little catch tray. And you can just scoop those out. So that's what we'll be designing today. So inside, you have 2 ramps. You have one ramp that feeds down to a second ramp that goes to a hopper. And then once that hopper activates, there is a small little gear in there that when you turn this, it turns on the inside, and then it allows the candy to go down a little shaft into this catch basin. This little rail here is a live hinge that I basically just put score marks in that allowed us to bend that wood. You can do a simple 45 straight angles if you want, but I thought this live edge would be a nice little touch. So this is the design we're going to work on today, and I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be a long tutorial though, and I didn't split it into 2 pieces just because it didn't quite go over that hour mark. If my tutorials ever do go over an hour, I will be sure to split them into 2 parts. All right, for this design, we're only going to need a few elements. Everything else we'll take care of in LightBurn. As usual, we'll just go over to MakerCase. We're going to make 2 separate boxes. The first box is going to be 3 by 8 by 3. It will have one side closed, and I'm going to just push these finger joints all the way out as far as they will go. So then if we look at that, I'm going to hit download, and I like to change my line format to be black, so I'm just going to change that to zeros. We're going to download that SVG. Now, we only did do a bottom on this because the top, we're going to have another lid that sits on top. So for this, we're going to do the inside dimensions of 3 by 3 by 1/2 inch. And this will be our lid that we will flip upside down and put on top of that case. So we are going to also push these out as far as we can on the finger joints. And yeah, that looks good. So we will download that SVG, and we'll only need one more. So we're going to have 3 boxes. So the next one is going to be 1 by 1. Let's see, 1 by 1 by 1. And then for the height, we just want to add 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so we will download this shape and get over to LightBurn and start designing. All right, this is the main structure that we'll be working with. That is the lid, and that is the little stem. We won't need the bottom for right now, so we'll just move that up and out of the way. And the first thing we'll have to do is identify, let's say these 2 are going to be our sides, left and right, and this will be our front and back. Let's start with the front. One of the first things we're going to want to do, or that I like to do, is let's select everything and put that all on the same level, and then as soon as we do, we can identify some marks. I like to use these little alignment rulers. Basically, if you go to the top of your workspace, and you'll see the cursor changes from a cursor to a little line, and if I'm just holding down on my mouse, I can drag that down, and that just gives me a little tool line. And you can see over here on the cut layers, so I have 0, 0, which is all my the black items here. And then this orange is tool layer 1. And I'm going to use those as all my reference lines. So I'm just going to drag some down randomly for right now until we get them all where we want them. Well, this will be the bottom. And you can also go off to the side here and you can grab some this way. Now the first thing I'm going to want to do is figure out where I am going to put my knob. And this will be a turn knob that allows for the candy to be dispensed. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mock up some of these items so I have a sense of what my design will look like. And this is just going to help me on the spacing. I want this is about 3/4 of an inch. I want that to be 1 inch. So just a little bit wider than where I had these reference lines. And what I can also do is select everything and then just make sure we adjust the orientation. So I'm just aligning this all vertically. And now I'm just going to move these little reference lines so I have a better idea of where everything will land. On the very bottom here, this is where I am going to want the outlet for the candies. And I'm going to just incorporate a square and a circle so it is like a little curved opening. And then if I hold shift and select both items, I can go over here, and this is our joining. This is our weld. This will join these together. Or if you click on this item here, this will give you the little Boolean assistant. And if you hover over, it'll show you what will happen if you choose to use those certain points. So we're going to do a union or a weld. We're just going to click OK. So this will be our spout. This is where the candies will drop out. And in order to make sure that the candies come down that spout, we're going to build a little trough, like a little vent almost, or chimney. I'll just drag this down to the bottom and then just make sure that is in line. To make sure that the candies actually come out, I'm also going to have to put a little ramp. So the candies hit the ramp at about 45 or so-ish degrees. Doesn't have to be exact. And then it'll just kick those out. In order for these candies to get into this little chimney, we are going to make a wheel. In order to make this wheel work, we're going to want it to be about 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inches. And I'm going to want this to be 1.5 inches in a perfect circle. I'm going to lock this aspect ratio by closing that. All right, this piece will be 1/8 of an inch by, let's say, 375. That's a decent size. And we are going to want to make sure that we center these before we do anything else. Let me just delete this circle. Now I will select this, Command D for duplicate, and that gives us our crosshatch. Now that is complete, we can put our cup that will take the candy and move it around. But before we do that, let's make sure that this is centered. And I like to lock my shapes, and I'll be doing that a lot. Now, once you lock the shape, no matter what you do, that shape will not move. You won't be able to join the shape. You won't be able to transport or move it around your screen until you unlock it. It makes it really good when there's something on your screen that you definitely do not want to move, but you want other items to align with it. And that's what I usually do. Holding shift, I'm going to just vertically align this to make sure that everything is correct. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my rectangle and then select the circle, and we're going to do a circle array of 2 objects. This way we'll have a cup at the top and a cup at the bottom. So when you turn that this around, you'll be able to scoop out the candy in 2 different instances. Now with the center unlocked again, now we can select our rectangle, our top rectangle, and we're going to just do a simple Boolean subtraction. And we click OK. And now we're going to select the bottom. And again, we're just going to do a simple subtraction. And then this will be the piece that will rotate around, scoop our candy from the top tray, and then put it through our little chimney here and then deliver it to the kitties. Children, not cats. Let's just move this around so that's 90 degrees. Move this down. Just making sure right now that nothing will interfere with anything else. And let's continue. Now on the top here, my first version, I really overthought this and I made trapezoidal pieces that went into a funnel, and it was overkill for what I was thinking, and I'm glad that I took a moment to actually think it through a little further. So what I'll do is on the top here, let me just make this a different color. This will be a 45 degree. Let me just take this piece here and move this over because this is our side and then this is our front. So if I had this here, let me try to illustrate this so you can see it. This will be just a 1/8 inch piece that will go something like this. And then this is where our whole mechanism is going to be, really. It's only going to be in the very front of our candy dispenser. This back will be empty. We'll have this 145, and then right about here, we're going to have another 45. And this 45, let me try to illustrate it here so you can see, will be like this. So any candy that comes down here will just fall right into our little hopper right here. And then once you turn this, this will push any of the other candies out of the way. And then we'll put a funnel around the side, or a guard, I should say. And then the candies will just drop down the bottom and we'll be able to catch those. And you can adjust this and put this wherever you want on this design, higher, lower, doesn't matter. We'll have one here, we'll just duplicate that, and then up here you can mirror whatever you duplicate. Holding shift gets us a straight alignment. And we're not dealing with fine sand or water or anything, so little gaps are okay. And I'm just guessing on the angles right here. It doesn't have to be perfect. That'll be there, so the candies will come in, hit this ramp, drop down, and if it goes off to the side, it'll hit this other ramp, and then there you go. Once you turn this, this will just sweep around, and the candies will drop in. Now, to make sure that the candies don't go anywhere but this little catch, holding shift, I just want to make, doesn't have to be too tight. And then this we can do 1/4 inch out. Yeah, we could do 1/4 inch or a little less than 1/4 inch. That's fine too. We know that this piece is centered. So if we lock this piece and we center everything, and we know that these circles are centered, but we don't know that this is centered. So let's just do a vertical alignment. Yeah, see, it moved a little bit. Control D to duplicate. Holding shift will move that up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld these two circles together so they're one item. Now if we grab this piece, hold shift, grab that piece, do a Boolean subtract, and then click OK, holding shift. And then here we do another Boolean subtract. Now these pieces will be stacked next to our circle that turns. Now if we stack those, it's not going to allow any candy to fall out. It's a very simple design and it will work very well. All right, we have our top ramp. We have our bottom two ramps, which are right here. Now we're going to need a back piece. To make this back piece, it's just going to be a simple straight piece. One straight piece right there. And then that piece will go from here all the way across. And it's just going to be right in front of this ramp, just to make sure none of the candies fall out the back. So the candies will fall down here, hit here, which will be this ramp, and then fall in right there. Now the only other thing we need to do is we'll just need to move this and make this little chimney. Command D for duplicate. We'll move this over. And then let's just grab another little reference line to make sure everything is in line. Okay, so that's going to only be 1/8 inch thick, which is 1/8. Now you can type in 1/8 and it will give you the decimal if you like. That is a nice trick, but if you work with 1/8 inch material enough, eventually you will just know that 0.125 is that decimal. Now this piece here, I'm actually going to bring this up to about here. Now that'll just give us a little gap between the two. Now this board will go all the way across and this one only stops right here. I will want to put a hole in here to accept, so when you rotate it, everything works together. And then the only other thing we're going to need down here is another little 45-degree ramp. And that ramp will go right at the bottom. And it doesn't matter how big the ramp is. The steeper it is for the amount of space, will be how fast the candies come out once they hit the bottom there. All right, so if I duplicate this and we'll move this over here, this will only be 0.125, 0.125. I'll just rotate that out. Let's see, what do we have? 1.125. Let's go with 1.125 by 70. See what that looks like. Yeah, that could work. And you have to remember this orange piece right here, that's our bottom. So you want to stay above that or the piece will have an issue hitting the bottom. So we don't want any pieces to hit each other. Now that piece was 70 by 1/4 inch. And this piece here is, we say 1 inch. So that is 1 inch by 0.70. This will be the actual size of this piece that's over here, but it's tilted back. And what I like to do is, we'll do right now, is I'm going to make a little plug that is 125 by 0.125. I'm going to turn this to the same angle that this is, and you can see my mouse changed. And when it does that, that way you know that that's in the center of whatever you're trying to align it with. I don't need this there as the representation, but this will be the plug that my pin will go into. Now my pin, if I just hit Control Duplicate, and we just rotate this back, we just need this pin to go in the middle of this board, and then we can put it in that board. Now once I hit Escape and I select all 3 of these pieces, I can weld these together, and now this little ramp is ready to go. So this can go over here. This is ready to cut. That's the ramp that'll go down there. One of the next things I'll need to do is get this chimney ready to go. In order to get the chimney ready to go, all I have to do is put in some tabs that will both be for this side and for the bottom all at the same time. And again, this is going to be 125, let's say not 5 inches, let's say 0.5 inches. Now we only need to put in, let's say 3. You don't need to go crazy with this. Now, if we do this all at the same time and just hit duplicate, we should be able to successfully just move this down the piece and then put those roughly spaced out. Now this will be cut into the front panel. Now we'll also need these cut into the side panel. This side panel would be the back panel. And this is the piece that we have here. If we just select everything, I do want to unselect this little guideline. So we'll just want to select all of these pins that we're going to cut along with the top piece here. And once we select all those together, I'm just going to hit D for duplicate, and I'm going to move this off to the side. Now we could just go in here and use our subtraction tool to make those tabs. Now with the tabs on the one side, we'll continue that on the other side as well. All right, now the only other thing we want to do in this piece is add our circle. So our circle, if we select our ellipse tool and wait until it changes to the circle center of this, holding Shift and Command, we can see where that circle will land, and then we can move that circle to the center of this unit and then just vertically align that. And now once that's vertically aligned, we can weld those two together. And now this piece is really done as well. We can move this piece out to our done pile along with this piece, and we will just change that to the black cut layer. And no reason black is cut, it's just what I prefer. And now all we have to do is make our side piece here. Now we want that side piece to be in line with this. So let's move this alignment up to about there. And it will come all the way down to the bottom here. And we'll just draw that in. So using our rectangular tool, we will move that up to the top and then out. Now we'll have two tabs on this one. Duplicate those. We will have these three tabs that go through the front, and Control D for duplicate. And then we will have these three tabs that go out the back into this backer piece, along with this small little piece for the angle. Now if we hold Shift, we can grab this, grab all of these pieces, and we'll just move that over. Now, this bottom piece will be a cut, so we'll just weld that. And then these, they will all be welded. So these will all be welded. Now, if we just weld those together, there are two pieces. We'll put this on the cut layer, and actually we will hit Control D for duplicate because we will want two of these, two sides. All right, move this over to our done file, and then those are the two pieces of our little chimney stack here. Let's just put these on layer 1 or 0, and group those together, and then we will just weld these here to make sure they don't move. All right, we're rocking and rolling. These pieces are actually done as well. Now these are not going to be cut. What you can do is if you hit Control D for duplicate, let's just move these out of the way for now. And what I can do is, let's say, usually blue, we'll make that an engrave layer. And then this will just help with aligning these. So we want to make sure that we do glue these up correctly. Now what I'll do is I'm going to ungroup these. And I am just going to move that, flip that upside down. And what I'll do is, actually maybe I'll do this. Let's just vertically align these. Now I'm going to want to matrix copy these because you need one of each of these for one layer, and I'm going to want about 8 layers. That is going to be 8, and we'll just reduce our spacing. This will put it nice and tight, but we want to make sure that everything cuts. Okay, we'll click OK, and those are our 8. So we'll move these out of the way, and that's done. And now this piece will be our 1/8 by, let's see what that is, 1/8 by 0.95, that's fine. So if we go 0.125 by 0.94, shift, we'll just get that right over there. This will be one side, we'll get this for the other side. And then let me just duplicate this one more time. And I'm going to delete this. I'll just grab this one here, since I know that this is actually the size that I want. Before I was just drawing those as a representation. And now I can also put my tab in there. So my tab will be 0.125 by, let's say, 1/2 inch. That sounds good. And I'm going to want to just put this in the center of that. And then I can select both of these and hit duplicate. Pull that by holding shift. Delete this one. And we will just mirror that. Holding shift, we'll move it right over there. And then these will be our cutouts. And this is our backing piece. So our backing piece, so this piece will actually go all the way out to this backing piece and all the way over here. Okay. Now this piece, we're going to want this to be 0.125. So we get this right. Now this piece is 70. Okay, so we're going to want that to be 70. That means that these tabs will be 70. 94 by 70. And then our tab will be 0.125, 0.125 by 0.5. And then this will just go in the center here. Control D to duplicate. We'll pull this up and then we'll weld that together. So this piece will go in right there. Now this piece is basically done. We'll just pull this up out of the way. Make that on a cut layer. Control D for duplicate. And there we go. Now this one we can delete. And the only thing we need to do now is this piece here will need 2 tabs. If we hit Control D for duplicate, pull this all the way across. But we want to make sure that we are only pulling it across to this line, because we're going to have tabs inside of this box. Holding Shift, Control D for duplicate. This will be the back piece, which is this piece right here. Now all we need to do is put a tab. This needs to be 0.125 by, let's say, 0.25. And as long as we always put these tabs in the center, we won't have any issues lining these up. So hit Control D for duplicate. Put that in the center there. Just move that out a little bit. Let's weld this all together. Holding Shift. Just move this up out of the way for now. Control D for duplicate. Move that over. Okay, now if we weld that together, weld that together. Now this piece here is done. Move that over there. Okay, now we could delete this, we could delete this, and we could delete that. And these were just reference points. This will actually be engraved, and then these two will be cut as well. We'll just want to put those on the cut layer. All right, we are rocking and rolling. The only last thing we need to do is make this piece here. This is already lined up, and let's just get an idea of how wide this is going to be. All right, ballpark 2.5. All we have to do is make a piece that is 2.5 by 0.125. Duplicate that, put that there, shift that up, right about there, looks good. So we are not hitting anything. And then we will want, let's say 1 tab, 0.5 by 0.125. Put that tab right in the center. Delete both of those. Control D for duplicate. Move that back. Put this right in the center. And this piece was 2.76. Now we can go back. We weld everything together. And that is our top ramp. Let's put that up and out of the way. Now we can work on the actual mechanism here. Now if we ungroup or unlock this shape here, I am going to want to put a circle in the center so that this keyway can go through the front of that. We don't want it to be too large, but this will stay with the outside, with this large piece. And then we can select this keyway along with this piece here and move this off to the side. Now we are going to need this about 8 times as well, so I can do a matrix array. We'll create this grid. We are going to want this spaced out a bit, and this will be the entire mechanism. And now that that is complete, we can ungroup this here just for a moment. I'll just duplicate this. Now this will be our keyway. Now I'm going to want this to be about 1.5 inches. We're going to also put a cut in the center of this piece that will be 50% of the way through. So let's find 50% of the way through. So if we just hold this, it will snap, or it should snap. There it goes. And we want this to be 0.125 to your center point. Holding shift, we'll select that and we'll just do a alignment there. And then if we hit Control D for duplicate and we rotate this around, this will slide right into there when you're complete. Now these two are done, and that is our key drive system for this piece. And we can delete this. All right, guys, I just want to take a quick break from the tutorial and let you know how much I appreciate you guys tuning in. It means a lot to me. Everybody that's watched, everybody that's subscribed, everybody that's liked my videos and shared my videos. It helps me get engaged with with a larger audience, and that I am truly grateful. I would like to take a moment though to talk about my school community. It is a new community that is free, and it is slowly and quickly growing. If you can get over there, I'll leave a link in the video description below, and that's where you can get better access, quicker access, and early access to the projects that I'm working on, along with discounts and some classroom activities, skill builders for your laser and things of the sort. I'll leave that in the description below, but until then, let's get back to the video. The last thing we need to do to the box is the bottom. We're going to put a little catch tray or catch basin so the candies don't just roll over the floor once you activate that wheel. So if we align this, just so we have an idea of where these two will align. Now that catch basin, we will just do what we did for the opening up here. Actually, we can just hit Control D for duplicate. We can just move this because we never did weld that together, and then we can modify this however we want. I'll bring that up a little bit, and then holding shift, we can just vertically align that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a what they call a living hinge. It's basically when you take a piece of thin wood and you put a lot of scores or a lot of cuts in it, and then this way it allows you to bend it. It's a very easy thing to do. All you need is 2 rectangles. Now, to make this bend, we're going to need a rectangle that is about 0.75 by 3.5. And we're going to also want to put a couple of reference rectangles here. And these I'm going to make 1/4 of an inch on either end. And that just gives me an idea of where to stop and start. Because I'm going to put a tab down here that's going to be 125 by 125. It's just going to be a small little tab that will stick into the bottom of this base, and then it will allow me to pivot. All right, that allows me to know where to start and where to stop. Now, this is going to be the square that I use for my score marks. And I am going to want that to be 0.0625 by 3/4. All right, now that I have my reference line, I know where I'm starting. I'm going to want to turn this into a path. So if I right click on that rectangle and just hit convert to path, now this will allow me to do a lot of things to this. So I can highlight over and just hit D for delete, and hit D for delete. Now I have 2 lines. And what I want to do is I want to put some nodes. So I want to make some nodes. Now if I highlight over this line, the cursor will change, and if I hit M for make node, I can just make a few nodes here. And these nodes are just points. And these points are going to allow me to delete some of these center spaces and then delete these off spaces. Now with that deleted, this is the beginning of the hash marks that will make our living hinge. These score marks basically that'll cut through. Now I'm going to want to make many copies of these. 125, that's the spacing, there we go. And I'm just going to continue this all the way down until I get to the other side. Click OK, and I will just want to ungroup this for a moment just so I can delete this very last line, and we can delete this reference line as well. Now these are not grouped together right now, so we're going to weld this and weld this. We will put this all on the same path and we'll just group that together. So this will bend around to make our little carriage that goes over the bottom. We'll just weld these two together. And we will just put the two little pins, and that was 125 by 125. Control D to duplicate. Move that over. If we group these together, we can vertically center those, so now everything is centered. So these pins will drop right into there, and that will attach and curve around. Now the last thing we need to do is put the top together, and then we'll put a little bit of graphics on there and spruce everything up. All right, we'll just do a center alignment here. And then if we just make this the exact size, our Boolean assistant, and we will do our Boolean subtract. That way we don't need to use the bottom here because we'll just use the top, and then the bottom will secure right into this top lid as well. The only last thing we would need to do is make this side here. If we weld that together, we can hit duplicate and then switch that around, and then that will become this side here. So we have two sides, a front and a back. If you want, you can clean all of this up. To add the graphic to the outside, all I did, well, to make this easy, let me get rid of some of these grid lines. Now to dress up the box, which is really what I intended to be done. First thing, actually, let me show you a nice trick. If you align everything together, you can set your laser to only engrave or cut that line once. So depending on how you have your laser set up currently, so if you put these pieces and interlock them like this, so if you have the settings correct, the laser will run through this for this piece, and then the laser will run in through it for this piece. But if you set your laser correctly, it will only run and optimize. To do that, you can go over to down on the bottom right, optimization settings, and then just put remove overlapping lines. So now when it goes to cut, it will only cut through once. And this will save you a lot of time. Now, what I can do is I can draw a line between all of these boxes, and we'll just say that's going to be a fill line. We can say offset fill. So that'll be filled in. And now we can add some score marks. To do that, I will add a pumpkin at the top. Now the pumpkin is very simple. All I do is make 3 ellipses here. Ellipses. We are going to have the top on there, so we want that to come down a little bit. We'll have that go there. Hit Control D for duplicate. And we just want this one to be a little bit smaller. And how about a little bit fatter? And actually, before we draw another one, let us lock this shape for a moment and do a little vertical movement there. Now we can unlock this shape, and we can horizontally align these. Holding shift, move that up and move it back down. And then this one here, we can hit Control D for duplicate. And we'll just put that over there. And now all I want to do is cut these where they intersect, where I don't want them to intersect. And what I can do also is I can jump over to Canva and just download a few images. And then this is our wood pattern here. And all I did was stretch and skew this. Now you can do this however you want. You could do it as one big pattern that kind of goes throughout different pieces. And you can group this together and set that to fill. And then all you have to do is group this together, Control D to duplicate, and then move this over. And then if we preview this, it'll show you this will take about 20 minutes. All right, guys, I will get over to the laser and we'll cut this, and I will make this, I don't know if I'm going to make this a free design. This took me quite a minute to figure out. I'll probably offer a very steep discount to anybody that is in the school community, though. So if you haven't joined yet, get over there, check it out, and let's get to cutting this. All right, guys, that's the build that I've got for you today. I really hope you appreciate and you enjoy this this design. I will put this on my website with more information soon. And I'm sorry the video is late, but hey, better late than never. I think this came out really nice, and I think we can customize this for all of the seasons. So Easter bunnies, Valentine's, Christmas. I think we can hit all of those with a simple design like this. Feel free to make any modifications, and until next time, my name is Steve. Appreciate you guys tuning in.